Pocho-Isimo podcast. My name is Gerardo Alarcón.
I'm Dominic Angel.
And I'm Ryan Reyes.
And for today's fucking podcast, for today's podcast, we have a Patreon shout out for the Jarito. Jarito right here behind me. Shout out to Alex Knotts, Angel Amezcua, Aparni Rani, Aztec God, Eddie Bravo, Imperium Sloth, Izzy Sandoval, Jazz, Kareem, Luis Gomez, Daria, Nia Town, Nicholas Moreno, Not Mitch, hi! And Veronica Lopez. Shout out. Oh, Nicholas Moreno is Calzone.
That's right, Calzone, the one that sent me the dope ass shirt.
It's so funny. If you want extra recognition as a Jarito, just tell me you have a nickname, and then I'm going to say your name and your nickname because I always go, oh yeah, and that guy's that guy, you know?
Yeah,
also
yeah.
give us shirts.
Yeah, give us shirts. They want us to make shirts. We're like, no, you give us shirts. Bitch. I'm just kidding. Well, okay. Anyways, so today's podcast, first of all, what is a Patreon, Dominic?
Oh, a Patreon is where you can support the podcast if you're so inclined. We have a $5 tier where you get access to bonus content, meaning an extra episode every week. You get early access and you get access to our Discord. Pretty lit.
Yeah.
Then we got our $20 episodes. You get the shout out. You get your picture on a board. You want to show them what that looks like?
Yes, right here. As you can see, all the names for our Jaritos. Also, Jaritos, if you're listening to this, send us fucking pictures, dude.
Yeah, please. It could be anything.
It could be anything. Or even if you want to tell me a font to use to put your name up here.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because like the names are cool, you know, but we want to see your face.
Yeah, yeah.
I miss you.
We miss you. But yeah, join us on Patreon. We just did an episode where we played a bunch of improv games. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, yeah. It was brand new for me.
Yes.
But
if you want to see Dominic act like a South African archaeologist,
go to the
us on Patreon.
Because you won't miss a thing.
Okay, don't start with the song. If you want to see me sing the Armageddon song as Batman, join us on the Patreon. Also, by the way, it sounds like we're fucking recording in a jungle right now because the parrots outside are
It's
fighting.
parrot migration season.
it's a motherfucking jangle out there.
Dude, if you've never heard a parrot that doesn't know how to talk like a human caw before, it's so fucking disrupting.
Why?
Because they sound like they're dying. They're
Like they're learning how to caw?
That's what they sound like.
Oh my god.
But a million of them.
You know what's so funny? We called Dominic a strawberry in the Patreon.
Fuck you guys. I put my jacket back on. And I was
We
like,
can't not address it because we're like,
oh, you
parallels.
can. You can.
Listen to why I brought that up. I'm sorry, Dominic.
Oh.
Are you okay? Mm-hmm. But now
Don't
that
fucking get your head off my side.
Just trying to console you.
now that we're talking about parrots, though, Ryan looks eerily like a parrot with the green shirt and the red hair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck.
You fucking parrot! Okay.
You parrot bitch.
Dude, don't roll with it.
YouTube is like, stop cussing, dude. What the fuck are you doing?
God
Damn,
damn.
why are you being so mean to everyone's favorite?
Yeah. Just kidding. Oh my god.
Oh, my God.
Fuck. Jesus Christ.
You guys
so he
have
does
created
know.
a monster out there. I hope you
Yes.
guys know that.
Is that a fat joke? I do that to him a lot.
Okay, so anyways,
Okay.
back to the podcast. Today we're talking, the episode's called Pocho-Isimo. But what we're discussing is basically growing up not knowing Spanish, again, among other things. Like the classism between brown brothers, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mostly dealing with class and whatnot. But I wanted to preamble this podcast by saying that we don't speak for anyone. We're just expressing ideas here. And also, if you find us on a clip on TikTok, it's meant to make you come here and check out the ideas that we have. You know? So also, please, if you're a hater, be a hater. Try to be open-minded to what we're talking about because we may say something that bugs you, but don't use like a slur or some sort of way of name-calling us. Speak your mind in the comments if you wish to. Obviously, you don't have to. Start a conversation with others. You know, if you see something that we talk about in real life between each other, then try to state what's happening in your best way. You know, like, hey, man, you're probably upset because you're a bitch. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
Sweet.
Don't do that. Yeah. No, but really, I wanted to say that I think it's important to say because there's times where I'm talking about this and it feels like it doesn't matter. You know? Right? Am I wrong?
No,
I get what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It feels like a lot of times. There's a lot of times where we see these discussions and then comments are filled with people like, why do we even care about this?
Yeah. Like there's nothing you could do.
Yeah. So I mean, I would like to see some positive change. I think there's a lot of biases within myself that I'm trying to work against, of like hating on people that are not like me.
Yeah.
And I would love to see it like reciprocated.
Yeah, keep in mind too, we probably we do it friendly, but we call each other names.
Yeah.
But there's like an inherent love there. I love you guys.
You bitch.
What? What the fuck?
I was polite. I said it off screen.
You lovely bitch.
Oh, I said it on screen, so it's not true. I do call you guys really rude names off screen.
Yeah. You called me a strawberry.
That was your brother. He started that. That was hilarious.
That was.
Anyway, so I don't know. What else should we say about it?
Well, I was gonna say like. Well, that's why like when people come into our comments and especially like on my page, I'll be like, look. I like having debates and conversations with people. If you don't agree, that doesn't mean... Like, I hate people that are like, why do we even care? It's like... I don't hate them, but it's like, look, if you don't care, that's fine. That doesn't mean it's not something worth caring about. And that just means you don't want to be part of the conversation. But that also means, like, don't come into the conversation just to talk shit. Yeah. Like, it's rude.
Yeah. And it's kind of rewarded in an online...
Yeah, it's like, if you don't want to be here, just don't be here.
Yeah. It's rewarded to have something negative to say to people nowadays. Yeah. Because negative is funny, dude. Negative will always be funny, unfortunately. But it's when it's like, you know, I don't know. Is it easy to tell when you're being negative to somebody, whether it's good natured or not?
It's hard. I think it's hard to tell, because sometimes I'll go off on somebody that like. Not go off like I'll attack them, but I'll like respond to them defensively. Yeah. And then they'll be like, oh, I'm just kidding, dude. Like, yeah. You know, and then other times it's kind of like I treat it as a joke. I don't know. It depends on what mood I'm in is how I'm going to interpret it, to be honest. That's the hard part about like reading text is like you don't necessarily always know the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's especially hard for me. Like, I literally have to be, like, in conversation. There have been a handful of times, not a lot, but a handful, where I've been like, I'll be honest, because I'm autistic, I don't know if you're kidding or not. Yeah. So I don't know if this is an insult. And they'll be like, oh, no, I'm so sorry. Or they'll be like, fuck you! And then they leave. Yeah. And like, either way, I win.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you're kind of the one that pitched this conversation that we're going to have.
Yes.
Like, what kind of inspired you to want to bring this conversation back up?
I will tell you right now, but the last part of my preamble is, if this conversation is interesting to you, let us know what else you want us to talk about in this fashion, right?
Yeah.
So, first of all, one of the aspects I wanted to bring up was comedy, right?
Right.
And the way I pitched it to Dominic was brown on brown things. There's two things that happened. This happened first, so I'm talking about this first. I was at an open mic. I was in the corner seat of an open mic. I don't know if I told you guys the story.
You told me this story.
Okay. I was in the corner seat of an open mic. Open mics, first of all, let's define what they are. You work on jokes.
It's practice.
It's practice.
Yeah.
What do you think about somebody that goes to an open mic and does crowd work?
I don't like it.
It's stupid.
You have to be like really good at it. And even if you are good at it, it's like, well, then why are you doing it at an open mic?
Exactly. Even if you are good at it, it's not supposed to be done at an open mic. Go on stage and do your jokes. If you're not confident in doing it, then, you know, I think that's when you start to see people doing crowd work at an open mic. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I'll give you that. You're just not confident in your material, or maybe you don't have material. You just wanted to get on stage and do some funny stuff, right?
Like, I can understand the need, like the want to get better at something like that. But if you're doing that instead of your jokes because you're nervous about your jokes, and I don't know. I do agree with you in that instance.
So I went to an open mic, sitting in a corner seat. Nobody sits in this corner seat. That's why I like sitting there, right? I want to be by myself, thinking about my jokes.
Right.
I'm 2 people away. It's like 1 o'clock at this time in the morning, and I'm tired, and I'm trying to fight that by just like, you know, concentrating on my jokes and the energy I want to bring to my jokes.
Yeah. Right.
A guy goes on stage. I don't know what his name is. His last name is Chavez. That's all I caught. And he goes on stage, and a joke's not working, basically. And I'm like looking like this at him, but like I'm thinking about my jokes. I'm not listening to you, you know?
Right.
I have a headbutt in with some fucking rap music to get my energy up.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh. And so we're not gonna address that. I farted. Okay. Anyways, what's it called? So I have a headbutt in, and I'm just thinking about my jokes. I'm working on this bit that I'm doing, and it has to do with me being a quote unquote dirty Mexican. Right.
Right.
That's the first line of my material. My name is Gerardo, but some people call me a dirty Mexican to my face, and they haven't even seen me naked. You know, I'm the dirtiest naked. You know,
I love that bit.
I don't do it anymore because of this, right? And also, I found a funnier way to get to whatever I'm trying to get to.
Right.
Anyways, also, yeah, that's a bad joke, okay? But that's where you go to open mics to try things out. And I have been called a dirty Mexican. Anyways, so I'm here, I'm sitting, I'm thinking. His joke is he's going on this railroad where he's trying to figure this joke out. He turns around and he sees me and he's like, what the fuck are you looking at? You looking at me like I can't say anything funny, you know? He's not from New York. This is how my impersonation of everyone, right? Yeah. He goes, you look at me like I'm not saying anything funny, right? The crowd's laughing. Turns back around. Turns back to me. He's like, "What are you? Armenian? Are you Middle Eastern? You know?" And I don't. When people talk to me at open mics, I don't say anything because I don't want that to happen to me. I don't want people to talk during my set. I'm there to work on jokes, right?
Right.
Anyways, and then he turns and he goes, "Are you a spick?" Like loud as fuck, and it's killing. Everyone's laughing. All the comedians are laughing, right? I don't have a problem with that, but it did fucking like fuck. You know, like I don't want to say anything, and I just didn't want to say anything. I didn't say anything. Whatever. I go on stage and I try my material out, and they laugh so fucking hard at me talking about, you know, but some people call me a dirty Mexican. You know,
right?
Laughter, and it's like way too long of laughter. I'm just like sitting, and I'm not saying that that's bad that they're laughing that hard, but it's just like, come on, dude. Like, first of all, this guy is a Mexican man calling me a spick for laughter. Yeah. You know. I don't know if there's anything to be said about that. That's basically what happened. Obviously, I started to go into my material. Keep in mind, it's new material. The jokes work now, but at that night, right. I just asked the audience, like, you want me to fucking address this piece of shit that didn't fucking do anything? You know, he didn't do any comedy, you know?
Yeah.
I got the light and I just left. I got off stage and I just left the room.
Right.
That's what happened that night.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that there. Didn't affect me, but I was like, fuck that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a type of person, and we see them a lot.
Yeah.
Like, there's a type of comedy that, like, Mexicans do. There are, like, I don't know how I'm jumbling my words. But what I mean is, like, there's a certain type of Mexican comedian that will go up and just, like, only do derogatory shit. And, like, all of their comedy, like, they're trying to replicate George Lopez and like talk about how low class Mexicans are, or make fun of people for being Mexican, or make fun of just like Mexican culture. And it's, I don't know, it's lazy to me. I feel like that's not what George Lopez was really doing. I could be wrong. I could be naive, but I feel like he was just trying to have a shared experience with, like, this is kind of, we all grew up poor. This is like a shared experience of like how we live. Yeah. And people are laughing because they can relate to it. But now people misinterpret that and they're just like doing lazy shit where they call people spicks. And it's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see like, in general, that kind of feels like that's where that kind of comedian comes from, where they misinterpret why something considered edgy or racy is funny. But they always assume that it's funny because of the kind of topic it is, not the actual joke. And it's like, no, if you're not writing a joke before that part, then you don't have anything. You're just saying hurtful shit on stage for no reason.
Yeah. And I don't know what his motivation is. I love going to this mic, by the way, because I love doing comedy for people that possibly, I don't know if they do or not. I'm an alcoholic, so everyone hates me, right? But I love doing comedy for people that possibly hate me, because if they laugh, I feel the most validated of all time.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't wish for people to hate me. I never wanted this guy to ask me if I'm a spick, right? I don't want to address that. I have exactly in my mind what I want to do. I would like an open floor just like he had in order to do that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's him flailing. It's him trying to be like, it's when you're just trying to get laughs and you're not trying to, like, I don't want to be all high and mighty, but it's like you're not trying to become a better comedian. You're just solely focused on that, like, instant gratification, that you're willing to do anything.
Yeah.
And if that means that you're going to pick on somebody that's trying to do their shit, like trying to focus.
Yeah.
You know, it's lazy to me.
Yeah. And the comic after him, because I was like 2 or 3 away from him.
Right.
Comic after him was a white guy, very funny white guy, by the way.
Right.
But he went on stage and he goes, "Yeah, he's not Mexican, he's a Armenian because look at the shirt he's wearing." And then everyone's laughing, dude, hard, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how. I don't know how else to say it. Anyways, that happened, right?
Yeah.
And also in the same vein of comedy, like there was this shout out to whoever did this, but somebody commented Isimo pod on a TikTok video. And it was another podcast talking about no sabo, right? And how they were offended that people were calling them no sabo. Right. Like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? Like,
yeah.
Were you offended by the term no sabo before, or did it offend you that you are now being labeled that? And also, why do you care, right?
Yeah.
No sabo is the stupidest thing of all time. As far as like giving a shit about it, it's like, okay, yeah, no say, right? Whatever. I don't think I ever said no sabo. I could be wrong. If I am, family, comment in the comments. But I have said things before where I feel like I'm no sabo, and I think I've told you guys before.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you're learning a language, it's totally different. Obviously, you're gonna say some things wrong. It's like the whole thing about like saying you're pregnant instead of you're embarrassed. Like, all that shit.
So the guy that was part of the podcast responded to a comment about being no sabo, and he was saying that he knows Spanish basically. He said if you don't know Spanish, that's your problem, and I don't really see it that way. Maybe because since the topic is Pocho, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't see not knowing Spanish as a problem. Do you guys see it that way?
That was to me a thing of like it's something that is like. Sorry, let me correct myself. Yes and no. Like I think it's important to want to know stuff like that, but it's also like that's the thing that comes from you. Like it's important to you, which is why it becomes a thing. And if it's not, then it's not. But that no one else outside of that should have a say.
But what I'm saying is he told his audience that if you don't know Spanish, that's your problem.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a problem. Like it's not a character defect.
Yeah.
Yes or no question. Like, no, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I think like not surviving is a problem, right? If you're in such a dire... Fucking language has nothing to do with survival in our day and age, right?
Right.
In my opinion. I don't know. But it's just troubling me because it's like, if that's how you truly see yourself, then that's how you see other people in a way. And which is what I'm trying to get at with this, I guess, herd mentality of Mexicans hating on Mexicans that don't know Spanish.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing. Like we were talking about it at the barbecue the other day, which is like, I personally believe that it traces back to like this caste system that was developed by the Spanish, because it's like there's a hierarchy of Mexicans, and it's like in America, the Mexicans that don't speak Spanish are like at the lowest level, and everybody shits on them. But then there's pochos. There's people that are born in the United States that get made fun of by the people that are born in Mexico. Yeah. And on top of that, like, then there's people that, like the immigrants, people that leave Mexico to come to the United States, they get shit on by the people that stayed. And then in Mexico, there's like a whole race class system. It's like a hierarchy. It's fucking nuts. But it all ties back to like this, like how the caste system really like punched like, or like cemented this idea of like national pride. It's really crazy fucked up. The thing that's like so weird to me about like labeling somebody no sabo or making fun of them is like, we are native people, right? No matter what the makeup of our percentages or whatever, we're native people. And like to make fun of somebody that's Mexican for not speaking Spanish is like making fun of like a Cherokee for not learning English. Like that's not their language, that's a whole other thing. It's like, it's not a reason to make fun of somebody for like, it's a dumb thing. Yeah. To like be like, haha, you're not learning this language that conquered a people kind of a thing. Like, I don't know. It's really silly to me.
Yeah. I agree that it's fucking silly. Yeah. And like I said before, like among friends, it's funny to make fun of each other. Like if you stutter, I'm going to make a joke right away. Right? Yeah.
He pointed at him. I'm like,
if Dominic stutters, I'm just going to kill him.
Fucking strawberry.
Yeah.
Turn it back on Dominic.
No, it's a thing where it's like people say like, oh, Mexicans, that's what we do. We make fun of each other, and like that's that's part of our culture is like making fun of people. We've gotten comments like that where they're like, you guys are taking it the wrong way. If you're a real Mexican, you wouldn't be offended.
Exactly. If you're a real Mexican.
Yeah.
I'm really Mexican, dog. Like, you know?
Yeah. For real. And it's like, I don't fucking know you.
Yeah.
I don't, like, you're an asshole for thinking that you can talk to somebody like this. Like, I don't know you.
And so the reason why too I wanted to talk about this is that there's these people that I'm talking about are basically the future of our representation. People that will represent us one day. Right?
Yeah.
And we don't have control over that, dog.
Yeah.
Like, people that are Mexican and are famous represent me in some way or other to somebody that doesn't know me, you know?
Right.
Like, I don't know if there's a Mexican that loves Shakespeare. I feel like that would be fucking more accurate representation of me, you know? But that's I'm a fucking outlier, I guess, in a way. And that's, I mean, making other Mexicans feel like outsiders is something that really affects, I feel like, our race and also our representation.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree, because it's like we were from the get-go, they were trying to separate us as people. And like, that's what we should be fighting against.
Yeah.
And I understand like everybody that's talking about like I brought up about Spanish being a colonizer's language, and like I can't change anything. I can't change the fact that a large part of my history is that Spanish language, you know, and there are a lot of people to look up to admire that assimilated to like the Mexican lifestyle, because they were stamped out for survival. I can't change any of that. But like, I still believe like that we were colonized, so that we should be trying to like reconnect with everybody and like be opening and welcome to all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the risk of this sounding like a joke, right? I do know Spanish somewhat, right?
Yeah.
And
you know more.
There's
than
somebody
I do.
out there laughing very hard right now. This fool doesn't talk no Spanish. What the fuck? You know, right? That's what I mean by that.
Yeah.
I do know Spanish, but the way I speak, the way I carry myself, I'm wearing a Johnny Cash shirt. You know,
Right.
That all equates to one kind of Mexican in people's minds. These guys are no sabo kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck if you know who I am, but I do care about you judging other people. I don't care how people feel about me. Unfollow me, dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really don't care, because I feel like that doesn't really give me any value to my own life. But judging other people based on who they are, and you're also one of those people, dude. It's kind of like a self-hatred that we've been taught to know.
Yeah.
You know, like me hating on somebody that knows Spanish that can't speak English.
Yeah.
Dog, why can't you see that we're all the same kind of person?
Yeah.
I told you before, like, Dave Chappelle was so good to me. Look, we're not going to talk about LGBTQ, right? That's what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
But what Dave Chappelle did was he identified with every black American, you know? Every black American can feel the jokes he was making, the things that he was saying. It was like a unifying force that no brown person has ever seen. I would say George Lopez came close to it, but, you know, it's hard to separate the art from the artist. A lot of Latinas are mad about how he treated his wife and whatnot, you know?
Right.
So it's a very polarizing figure. And I would argue that he was the closest to it. His comedy is fucking hilarious, you know? And, but Dave Chappelle did something I think that was fucking special as shit by allowing light skin or dark skin, like, everyone to feel a part of his struggle in a way. And struggle, you know, I use that as a loose term, but his hard work paid off in unification.
Yeah, I mean, there was a big part of his comedy that was about like just the black experience, and there's something that like as we've heard through our learned through like social media and like stories over the last few years of like demographics have a shared experience, and that's what he was touching on. So it did allow for more people to attach themselves to that.
And I would argue that it wasn't attacking his own kind, you know? It was never attacking black people. Whether it was like a crackhead maybe, yes, he went hard in the paint towards crackheads, you know? But his whole focus was basically that we're run by these elite whites, you know?
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know how, like, that's why I give the preamble. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about here. I'm just having a discussion, you know?
Yeah.
But for some reason, I feel as if we were taught to hate each other, right?
Yeah, it was like we were always kept in a perpetual state of ambiguousness of like, kind of like, if we never grew past that point when you're a teenager and you're learning who you are and you don't know who you want to be like we're always like, it's a thing of like either they shit on us to the point where we like grow hateful, you know what I mean? Like people who I've met a kid who didn't know Spanish when he came to my school, and he was like kind of picked on for that. The teachers thought it was annoying to have to try to accommodate him, but his parents couldn't afford to put him in the all Spanish speaking class.
Oh, so he didn't know English when he came to your school?
Yeah, I fucked up.
You're
He didn't know English. And so he became like a problem kid because they treated him like he was stupid. Mm-hmm. But no, you hear him speaking Spanish, he speaks fluently. He's a smart person. He just like had a hard time learning English because it's a second fucking language.
Yeah.
And he was shut on so much that he ended up like becoming like a bully and kind of a shitty person. Mm-hmm. He like mellowed out as he became an adult. I ran into him a couple times. But yeah, like watching that, like that's what it does. There's a whole spectrum of that. It's like either that or you have this urge to become, you know, American. Like you don't speak Spanish. I've met a different spectrum of kids who like their parents would get mad if they spoke Spanish. They were like literally punished for not speaking English. Because they wanted to acclimate to their surroundings, because they were given the idea that if they acclimated properly, they would be accepted.
Yeah.
And then they never were. So it just created this, it was like a recurring cycle of like, the more it was denied them, the more they tried harder to like do what they thought everyone wanted them to do.
Yeah. And like, it's weird to me to talk about this too, because like there is no answer, in my opinion, right? Right. I'm not saying what Dave Chappelle did is the way that we should do things, because I don't think that's going to be the answer. Right. The only thing I could think of is love, dog. Like we need to all love each other. Food, like, and that's not funny. Like, how do you get to that? You know?
Yeah. No.
So it's so funny because I'm like Babe Ruth, like calling my shot, dog. Because we have tens of thousands of downloads every week. You know, and I know for a fact people will just tune out this conversation in a way. You know what I mean? And whether it be just the 30-second clip they see online, they tune it out and they say, fuck you, no sabo, bitch ass, pocho, fucking, like all the things that they've been taught to say.
Yeah. And even in that regard, like I think that kind of is like a side effect of the other two things. Like those we were talking about in the Patreon, like those teenagers that'll be like immediately just so dismissive, like why do we care and shit like that. Yeah. It's because they don't want a life of conflict. And then especially when they're young, but even when they're adults, there's just like they've tried so hard to like not be that idea that they don't want any conflict because they don't think anything will come of it. Yeah. Because of the history that they've known, that nothing comes of it, that if you fight the system fights back and you lose.
Yeah, it's like this idea, like there's this concept among Mexicans of like bringing up these issues or speaking out against issues is a sign of weakness when it should be a sign of strength that you're trying to fight against, you know, something that's evil, right? But it is that concept is so crazy to me because it only benefits the people in power. It only benefits, like, for you to be passive, only benefits them and allows them to take more advantage of you. Mm-hmm. There's this weird concept. There's like this mythical, like, idealized version of like a Mexican, of what the perfect Mexican is, and it's like been like, it's intangible because we don't know what it is. Like nobody really knows what it is, but they all talk and they all make fun of a different type of Mexican for not being this idealized version of what we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Whether it's not speaking Spanish, whether it's crossing the border illegally, whether it's like,
it's hammered into our heads.
Yeah.
Right. And like we said before on one of the first episodes, like we're the face of immigration, you know?
Yeah.
Which is something that I don't know why I have to fucking, like, you know, people complain about this all the time, whether you're Asian, Black, Latino, anything, I guess white people would call exotic, right? Mm-hmm. Where you get asked like, where are you really from?
Yeah.
You know
where are you really from?
Yeah. That's fucked up, you know? So basically I'm not proposing anything here, right? I don't know what to say about it, dude. It's fucked because Mexicans are so hated, dude. You're not allowed to say somebody's dead name but you're allowed to call Mexicans whatever the fuck you want, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like this world we live in does not feel all inclusive, you know? In my opinion.
What
right?
do you mean by like call Mexicans whatever you want?
Dude, Mexicans can call each other things and not feel any kind of social repercussion from it. There's something, like I told you before, it's kind of rewarded. Like the negativity is found by others to be like this like-minded thing that they think. It's like, yeah, if you don't know Spanish, you're fucking terrible, and if I see you in person, I'm gonna choke you out, dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's this idea that your identity is tied to how I am.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fucking, to me, that's weak-mindedness. You know what I mean? Like, that you have to impose your superiority. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, we're going to change the podcast now. We're going to just teach Dominic new words.
Superior. I can't even say it. But anyway, it's like you have to impose that onto somebody, you know, by like making them inferior.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how. I guess I can understand the thinking behind it. Like, whether it be jealousy or just like a class issue of like, you're a higher class than me, and so I need to try to punch up any way I can.
Yeah.
You know? And if I punch down, if I'm a part of that higher class and I punch down at the ones, it's like a rule of comedy. You never punch down, you know?
Right.
And then also combining that with the fact that you don't feel accepted by white people, you know?
Yeah, I think that's why it's such a crazy thing within the United States. I know there's a lot of stuff that happens in Mexico of like, obviously there's white Latinos.
Yeah.
But white Latinos have been able to latch on to brownness in the United States by being non-American, by not speaking English. So it's like by being othered, they're kind of latching on to our brownness. But it's not the same because they still benefit from being white.
Yes.
They can quote unquote turn it off.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah, and it's also just like, and that, even that's only a concept because of like how, you know, being a white American is perpetualized as the goal. Like,
yeah, exactly. The adoration of white women, the adoration of white late night. Like, I've been really digging into like late night TV, and like everything is white, dude. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like, now obviously we live in 2021. They have black representation, Asian representation in basically like primetime TV or late night. But dude, there's no Latinos.
Yeah, there was George Lopez, and everybody made fun of it because it was outdoors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Lopez Tonight was lit, dog.
It was fun. It was a really cool, fun show.
Yes.
And like,
I watched like the whole first season. It was fun.
And Prince did a fucking interview on Lopez Tonight, dude. You can't get Prince in a fucking room talking about shit ever.
He got who's the dude that used to be married to J-Lo?
I don't know.
Mark Anthony.
Yeah. Like first episode, he hung out with that dude. It was like, that was my favorite episode. They did this bit where they broke one of her Grammys and they're like, they like ran away.
I mean,
dude, that shit was awesome.
It is interesting because, I mean, George Lopez, his style of comedy, it does perpetuate this idea of like how he makes fun of his kids for not having for having white accents. And like it perpetuates this idea of like no sabo, you know.
The kernels that started this popcorn kind of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, I do see that, but that's the idea, is like about Latinos not being able to be represented correctly because Latinos attack each other based for no reason. It's like they don't ever want to see anyone. They talk so much about how there needs to be more representation and about how more Latinos need to succeed, but whenever anyone tries to, they pull them down or they try to tear them down and prevent their success. It's wild.
Or they get judged the most. Like Steve Moreno, a comic of ours, has a great joke about how like we only adore Latino musicians or artists when they're dead.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Very funny joke. I'm not gonna go further, but like, yeah, Selena. Like, my mom didn't know Selena until she died, and my mom's all up on the music scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's not true, she'll comment below.
Yeah. I've literally like met people. I think there was someone at the barbecue who like they didn't know about Selena until they saw the movie, and then their parent was like, "Yeah, that was a real person."
Yeah.
And then they learned all that shit about Selena, and now they cry when they see the movie.
Yeah, dude.
I'm just kidding.
I mean, I cry when I see the movie, dude.
Yeah.
The scene where she's singing
sad.
outside in that concert and the stage is falling, and then all of a sudden, like, the sunset, and she's like, "Come on, la flood." Damn, I should be Selena. Huh?
That was pretty good. I was surprised. Every so often, Gerardo will start singing, and I'm like, damn, you got a pretty good voice.
Thanks, dude.
Brady.
Wheel in the sky keeps on turning. Okay,
All right,
sorry.
And I don't.
Ryan's just like this the whole time. And I don't know it. Okay, sorry. Anyways, yeah. Next topic. Sorry.
Oh, I just mean it's hard because it's like there's like you said, there's no real answer except to talk about it and hopefully get people to like think about these things. Like why is it so important for you to judge another Latino for how they represent Latinos instead of like combating people outside of it? Because when you try to combat whiteness or like white supremacy, then you get called a bitch or a slur, you know, for complaining, you know, instead of just shut the fuck up and work hard. And we shouldn't be worrying about this stuff. And it's like, but you're going to tell me that those same people are the ones that are going to be like this fucking no sabo kid.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think I do propose something, dude.
what's that?
I think we should start something called Latinos Anonymous, dude.
Go on.
Because think about it. Alcoholism, you don't want to get rid of your alcoholism. If you're an alcoholic, you love that shit, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You could be living on a cardboard box and be like, I'm down to drink again today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no situation that you don't want to drink at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like Latinos, there's no situation where if they know you only speak English, they're gonna say something about it, right? I don't know. I'm trying to make this connection here, right?
I'm still waiting for them to be connected, but I'm on board.
But can you see the analogy that like an alcoholic wants to drink? It's like he has to kind of bring himself to this conclusion where drinking is bad for him, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to make the conclusion that making fun of other brown people is bad for the race in a way, I guess.
Well, the comparison is like they have that urge, that internal need to acclimate, and that either means shitting on someone or pretending they're not Mexican.
Yeah.
And so that would be what Latino Anonymous would treat.
Exactly. So
Embracing your brownness.
So we should start writing a book and make rules and steps in order to become a better Latino, dude. You know
We'll define what the perfect Latino is, and then there'll be 13 steps to get there.
12
Step 1,
12.
there is no perfect. Get over this shit.
Step 1, admit that you like the first step of Alcoholics Anonymous is admitting that you're an alcoholic.
Right.
So admit that you hate other brown people, I guess. I don't know.
That'd be the funniest way to like get people to like do shit like go to therapy. Like step 1, quit being a little bitch. Go to therapy.
You have to bully people into therapy.
And then like, you know, you can get eventually to the stage where your resentments and like your amends, I guess. Like you have to go to some uncle and be like, I'm sorry for just thinking you were a pedophile because you're a Mexican uncle. You know what I mean? Like all the fucking stereotypes that Mexicans or Latinos have to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, I know more so about Mexican ones, you know?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Somebody's getting killed outside by parrots.
It's fucking...
Do you know what the parrot migration's called? You told me before, right?
No, I don't know.
Oh, damn. Out of all things to know, dude.
I am not.
So, and then alcoholism and Alcoholics Anonymous, they deal a lot with God, right? So like a higher power. So what's the higher power? George Lopez. Dude.
George Lopez.
Is this a good idea or bad?
No, I like it.
It's kind of like that Mexican club you're talking about, or the Spanish club.
Oh, yeah. We were doing the Spanish club for a minute. We should bring that back.
That'd be fun.
There is no answer, dude. It's like so hopeless if you think about it.
It's just about showing people like why it's important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing is like I understand why. You know, I was a kid. Growing up, I was into comic books. I was into certain television shows. I related to these people, and I didn't think twice about it because when you're a kid, you don't think twice about it because you're not supposed to think twice about it.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to question shit like that, and then you become like a part of society and they make you question that shit. You know what I mean? But because of that, I like reached an age where I was like, holy shit, like everyone that I looked up to was like a white male like dude. And it's like, you know, it makes you question like, why aren't there other people like this? Like it's important because they're trying to make you think that it's normal, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think instead of like, there's this whole thing about you try to teach someone or you try to get them to think like you, and I think, and a better way to do it is to get them to question why they think certain things, because when you make somebody defend something, if they run out of reasons to defend it, or like if they don't know why they're defending it, it's probably easier for them to change their mind. I mean, that worked for me for a lot of things. There was this, it reminds me of this tweet that I saw, The Weeknd. He's some type of, I mean, he's black, but like, he's some type of African. I don't know which country he's from. I'm sorry. But the tweet was talking about how The Weeknd played the Super Bowl. And the person was like watching it with their dad, who's like Nigerian. And then he was like, how come there's no Nigerian superstars like that? And then the person was like, because Nigerian parents always they don't let their kids follow their dreams. They always pressure them to become doctors.
Yeah.
And then the parent just like sat there like, fuck, like, did I make a mistake? Like, am I like, it makes them think, you know, of like, there's all this pressure to act and be a certain way. And we don't encourage people to like, flourish. We don't encourage people to like reach their true selves.
That's exactly why I wanted to talk about this. It's just why choose to step down on people that get stepped down on by other people already, you know?
Yeah.
And like that TikTok video where it was like somebody that Mexican kids look up to, and he's telling them that it's a problem to not know Spanish, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that fucking sucks, man. I mean, imagine
being like told every day by white people, like, being forced down this canal. I was forced down it, dude. I worked in restaurants for 10 years.
Right.
You know, I tried so hard to be a server and I never could be. Yeah. I was always forced into the kitchen, whether it be for like $3 more an hour or whatnot. But I wasn't front facing ever. I was just in the back, you know, in a way, which it made sense at the time. It's like everyone that serves is white. You know what I mean? Without them saying that, they had to figure out some way to get you to the back.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how hard you are, your work ethic or anything. This place has a fucking image and we don't want a brown stain in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Sorry. And then imagine feeling that and then you find something you like, you know, online. You have an escape. Maybe our podcast does feel like an escape for some people, you know, like, or they enjoy the conversations that we have. The whole point of this podcast is discovering our Mexican identity.
Right.
While people are telling us like, fuck you guys, you're not Mexican. Real Mexicans do this, you know? Real Mexicans are like this, dude. Yeah. You're not fucking... How dare you start a podcast looking for Mexican culture? You know? Like nonstop. And then the best thing to do is just tag Ryan and then he argues.
Damn, you know that shit's intense when Gerardo drops his jewel.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Anyways,
it's wild to me
to go to this guy and then be told again that you're not right, dude. You know, you're not even right to be the thing you are, dude.
That's the crazy thing, is to tell somebody they're existing incorrectly is like the most fucked up thing that you can do, because it causes people to do fucked up stuff to other people. Yeah, I mean,
it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, imagine us like telling, like shitting on. If there's Mexicans that do this, that want to be so American that they talk shit, they call people beaners and spics and fucking like slurs, wetbacks. Yeah. That's the one I was looking for. But like they call people wetbacks for crossing the border, and like, who are you doing this for?
Yeah,
because it's always like, oh, they're making us look bad. Who to who? Yeah. Like, why are you so worried about who they are? You know, we should be supporting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine we were anti-immigration. Like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? If we were talking shit about people that only spoke Spanish, that are trying to fucking live a better life in this country.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, the biggest platforms have some like Mexican hate in them, you know? And I mean, I see it. The thing about it is that it doesn't matter to Mexicans sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just an accepted reality. Instead of accepting the fact that we all are alike, you know? Like, for instance, Joe Rogan will say that and he just says, it's not just one time he says this. He says this as a point or maybe a punchline. He has the liberty of saying that it's a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he says that Los Angeles has 8 million people plus Mexicans. You know?
Yeah. As
if we're not fucking people, you know? Because we're not citizens.
Right.
And then, but that's just a joke, dude, you know? But I can't go on stage and talk about how trannies or anything like that, you know, are affecting us in whatever way, whether it be mental or physical or my day-to-day life, the way I speak, the things I call people, you know. But we're allowed to let Joe Rogan come on here with like hundreds of millions of viewers and listeners and say that Los Angeles' Mexicans are not people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
it's
don't
the same
think
as like
either one.
is this like I'll make a personal correlation. It's the other day a friend of mine asked me like, well, why is it bad if I don't? They were talking about saying the word gay or using the F source. Like, if I'm just saying it to mean lame, if I don't mean it ever that way, if I'm friends with people like that, you know, why is it such a bad thing? It's like because one, you're making it at the expense of someone who's not in the room, and two, even if it's the most harmful version of it, it opens the door for more. Yeah. It allows people to think that is normal, and it also creates the correlation as a negative.
Yeah.
You know, you're correlating the word gay with something negative like lame or shitty or suck.
Well, it's just like retard. Like saying retard, you're correlating whether there's something bad. And then like the things that they have to deal with also, it's a bad thing. I say, but by the way, I should just say, I said tranny just to incite like some kind of like visceral reaction, you know?
Right.
Like that's what it feels like when I hear Joe Rogan say that Los Angeles has 8 million people plus Mexicans.
Yeah,
I understand it's transgender.
No, we know. Yeah,
sorry.
I know
like
you're.
I hear. It does,
I know you're one of the good.
I hear what you're saying because it does feel like it's protected. Like for a while, if there was like this thing where it was okay to make fun of Asians and like, you know, talk about the kind of foods that they ate or their accents or whatever. And then now more and more it's like...
Yeah, whenever something happens upstairs, I told you guys before, it sounds weird. See what I'm saying? It sounds like a rickety stool falling over, right?
Yeah, it does.
Anyways, I'm not going to... Yeah.
There's protected demographics, and it seems like Mexicans or Latinos are never part of that.
Yeah, like
Dave Chappelle, I went back and watched the Chappelle show, and...
Yeah.
Flagrantly, just for no reason, making fun of Mexicans and Latinos for no reason.
Yeah.
I got into an argument one time with this guy at work that he was black, and he kept calling all of us Spanish. And he's like, "Oh, but y'all are Spanish," and we're like, "No, we're not Spanish. I'm Mexican. He's Salvadoran." Like,
yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah, but you're all Spanish." And it's like, no, that's not the same thing. And it's hard because it's like there's no way to like relay that information to somebody. I feel like because he's black, because I couldn't be like, that's like somebody calling you white. Like, it's not the same thing. I just in the moment I didn't know how to like relay that information.
Yeah.
But it's like that's how we're seen. It's like it's people don't take Latinos seriously.
Yeah, it's like what I've said, where it's like we're always present, but as a prop or in the background. We're an aesthetic to people. Like I've used it before. The Big Bang Theory, there's a character named Howard who is blatantly offensive at the beginning of the show, and it's like his thing, like, oh, that's Howard, which I know people like that in real life, and it's like bullshit that anyone lets any of those people get away with it. But I digress. So through the course of the show, he continues to be that person, but he gets better at it. And so it's like, because he's just telling jokes. He doesn't mean it in offense, but it's always like a thing to be pointed out to him. It's like, yeah, but sometimes you go too far, da-da-da. By the end of the show, you know, he's still kind of that person. Well, here's what annoys me is like a character will be like, well, you can't say that about Indian people. You can't say that about Asian people. And then that same character in a different episode, they're taking a trip to Mexico and they'll say some shit like someone's taking too long to get in the car and they'll be like, arriba, arriba. Like they'll speak broken Spanish as a joke. They'll use the idea of going to Mexico as a joke. They'll continue to say shit like, don't drink the water, don't eat the food. And it's like, why the fuck are you going to Mexico? Like, you know what I mean? Like it's, first of all, but it's like... it still doesn't occur to them that they're still doing that, even if they're correcting themselves in a different aspect.
Yeah, I would make the argument that everyone in the world has eaten food made by a Mexican, you know?
Yeah, probably.
You know?
Yeah. And it's not always Mexican.
Well, no shit. But
no,
I'm just saying,
that's
a Mexican has touched your food and you put it in your mouth.
Dude, you go to Baldwin Park, you go to Sbarro's, Panda Express, fucking Denny's. All of those people are Mexican.
Yeah. Also, with the Dave Chappelle thing. So yes, Dave Chappelle is racist towards Mexicans. I am a huge Dave Chappelle fan.
Yeah.
And like I know every joke like the back of my hand. I love Dave Chappelle. I'm not trying to say I don't. But yes, his jokes. There's one time where I appreciated it, but it was also still kind of like a slight. But when, especially with the conversation we're having now, but like there was one joke. I'll talk about the one that I mentioned right now. But one joke, like if he ever becomes the first black president, he's gonna have a vice president that's Mexican, because if he dies, then he's opening up the border. Like that's the goal of every Mexican.
Right.
Like in order to achieve political office, then that's like all other Mexicans are like, all right, you're gonna fucking open the gates, right? Like that's what we expected you. That's why we voted you in,
right?
Yeah.
You know. And then it just turns into a Mexican that doesn't know Spanish or doesn't know English, where he's like, "See," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Granted, maybe it's the funniest thing that he could have done at the time, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, when people tolerate stuff like that, it's like, to me, it's like as long as it doesn't reach an extreme, they're okay with it. Like, you know, because they're always like, well, it's not like he's doing this or this, and it's like it's like if you know someone in the room has a gun, but he's not firing it. And so you're letting other people feel unsafe because of that. And not to get into the whole thing about guns. I don't give a shit about guns. If you want guns, you can have guns. But I mean, like someone who's unstable or like potentially would be that person. If you know that they could be that person, if there's evidence to support that they don't have a permit for that gun, that they have that gun for bad purposes, but they haven't used it yet, then why are you tolerating them being there?
Yeah, I mean, it is hurtful maybe in the smallest sense, but still. That joke rubbed me the wrong way, was what I'm trying to say. And then, but the one that I appreciated was one from his latest specials. It's still kind of like in a negative light. It's In the Heart of Texas, when he says that, you know, for many years, like black people have been the butt of a joke or whatever. And like, but as over the last couple of years, I can see that Arabs and Mexicans have taken that seat. And we just want to thank you for your service. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's kind of like rubbing it in our faces that we don't have any representation to take us out of this rut. And it does feel like we're still in it, because there's so many different conversations happening at the same time about different kinds of rights. And for the longest time, we've always just been left by the wayside, in my opinion. And I don't speak for anyone when I say we. I'm assuming this identity of me being a leader in a way. It's like, let's fucking pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and fuck these white people up. Like, what are we doing? You know?
Yeah.
Whether it just be with the amount of work ethic that we do carry on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, because it feels like the only issue that we can like rally around is immigration, or like that's the only one. Like everybody gets one thing, and we get immigration, and that's it. So it's like any other issues that we have, like it doesn't work for us.
Yeah, like babies in cages, dude, or kids in cages.
Yeah.
Everyone agrees that that's fucked up, but it's like, guys, come on. Like, we want to keep making fun of Mexicans. Take the kids out of the cages, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We can't give them any leverage in order to step up for themselves, you know?
Yeah.
Is what it feels like. Only because of how fucking much... And also, this episode's about white neighborhoods. Like, I grew up in a white neighborhood, you know? So that is ingrained in me. I was living in Colton until I was about 6 or 7 years old, and then I moved to Rancho. And Colton was very Latino dominated, you know?
Right.
And I had Latino friends, even at the, you know, in kindergarten, friends that were Latino, you know?
Right.
And then moving to Rancho, dude, I was a loner, you know? I remember when I was a kid, my dad didn't appreciate this, but I wrote, for whatever reason, I think it was a school assignment. I wrote that I don't have any friends and how it felt. Basically,
right.
I was expressing myself with a pen and pad, you know.
Right.
And then my dad yelled at me all night. That's aside from the fact, but you know, like he was pissed that I wrote that, you know. Yeah. But it was something like about having to do with like something about your friends and stuff, and it's like that's what I felt. And I don't really have a lot of memories of being a kid, but I remember that distinctly because he got mad at me about that, you know.
Because he don't want you to be weak.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I mean, I grew up around mostly Mexican, so I don't have that experience, but I do have like the sense of like the vying for like white identities, or just like connecting to it. And I had a conversation with a friend recently where we were talking about music, or we were talking about movies, because like P.T. Anderson's is putting out Licorice Pizza or something, and I was like, I have no interest in watching that movie, and I'm tired of seeing like just movies that are centered around white people. I've seen them. I'm sure it's a good movie. I don't really care. And I was telling him like I just found over the years of just like, because I don't speak Spanish and because I grew up in the United States, I had a separation from my culture. And he was saying, well, don't you feel like maybe we like that experience was something that we were not included in, or like that we were kept away from? And so I'm jumping around the conversation, but what I told him was like, it's frustrating to, there's still a bunch of white art that I like, you know, but it's I told you when I heard that song by Natalia Lafourcade, I'm sorry if I said the name wrong, but when I played that song for you, and I was like, I almost started crying when I heard this song, because I was like, this is exactly like the music that I listened to when I was in middle school.
Oh, and you would have loved it.
And I would have loved it, and it was just in Spanish, and it was a barrier that I put up. I felt that it was put up by other people, but I like in hearing it, I was like, this was put up by me.
Exactly. It's like, well, I don't know what came first, like my love for Led Zeppelin or my fear of not being accepted by white America in a way, right?
Yeah, no, I get it.
And what I told him was like, because I was like, I don't really care about seeing Licorice Pizza. And he was like, well, don't you think it's like insincere to only like somebody because they're brown, because they're Mexican, and like, you know? And I'm like, no. I was like, here's the thing. I was like, we've been showing up for these fools. I've been showing up for P.T. Anderson my whole life, like since I seen his first movie, you know. I've been showing up for Wes Anderson and all these other white directors and all these white musicians. I've been defending my love for their work my whole life, because it is good. But then over time, you start to see that they're not showing up for you.
Yeah. That
they're not putting Latinos in their movies, or like they're not working with Latinos, and they're like taking away opportunities from other Latinos or from other cultures, like that aren't getting the opportunities that they're getting because we're showing so much support for them. And yeah, they do good work. I get it, but it's just, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
They're going to be fine. They were rich before they started making movies. They'll be rich after, and they'll continue to make great work. It doesn't speak to me at this point anymore. There's so many stories that I found that like when before we started the podcast, before we started Isimo, before it was just an idea, I was listening to a lot of different music, and I just like had this realization that it's like everything that I've ever loved, Latinos or brown people are making it, and they're doing it better than what I originally liked. Yeah. Like, I don't know if it's better because it's genuinely better or just because I have that feeling of like that connection to it. But I don't know. I made a playlist. Yeah. If anybody wants to fucking check it out, I'll send it to you. Hit me up.
Yeah, I have two now.
Yeah,
I have one for like older Mexican music and then like modern Mexican music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree, man. Like, it's art is so subjective. Everyone knows that,
right?
You know, you might not like what I like. You know.
Yeah.
You know, even it's so weird how like art is included in all facets of interests, like sexual. You know, like you may like BDSM, I may like feet or whatever it is, right? I don't like feet.
I like feet.
But you know what I'm saying? Like there's sex to every art. And it's like as far as like big time Oscar winning directors go, they have the liberty to just say that a story's not interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you could give them the craziest fucking story about La Voz, the newspaper publication in Mexico that exposed the femicide. They helped incarcerate different drug lords and everything. That's an interesting story. That's everything you make already.
Right.
But they have the liberty to just be like, yeah, our audience is not going to like that, and like we don't want to do that. But it's gotten to the point now where film is so new, where you're able to see that they only want to explore their stories. You know.
Yeah.
And sure, Mexico has their own film industry and whatnot, but it's without a doubt the most fucking culture planting fucking film is American film. And without a doubt, in California, there's more Mexicans, there's more Latinos than anyone else here.
Yeah.
And this is where you're choosing to make all your films, as if like it's like spitting in our face. In Los Angeles way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also use like they'll take movies where they like try to accommodate us and use those badly executed movies as excuses for why they can't make more. Like Paranormal, the one that did the worst is the one where there's a Mexican kid as the main character.
Yeah.
But it's because it was a shit movie. It has nothing to do with him being Mexican. Same with they made a La Llorona movie.
But what I'm trying to say is though, that they don't choose movies that represent American culture. American movies that win Oscars and whatnot are going to be known globally because there's foreign film awards in that also, and they get to see all these different movies. Oh, what the fucking Golden Globe or the Academy Award for Best Picture is, Parasite. That's it goes into a different fucking realm of amazingness. Yeah. And then the only Mexican representation we have at Oscars are Mexicans directing movies for the fucking white elite,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it wasn't until Roma that that there was a story centered around Mexicans, especially indigenous, native Mexicans. That was a huge thing. But it's a thing where you have to work your way up towards where you're noticed by white people, and then you only work for whites, and then it's oh, that's how you make it. That's how you know that you're a successful filmmaker.
Yeah.
It's like a large scale version of that other thing we we're talking about, where they think they have to be more white to fit in because white is considered the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much talent, dude. There's so many talented Mexican actors that I've met in my time. I've met a lot of actors, and most of them are good fucking white actors. I mean, they have nothing else to do. They sit around all day and they act, you know what I mean? They act like they care about things, which is a good exercise,
I was trying to learn how to do a British accent for this project that I was doing. And the guy that was doing the dialect coaching, it was a video. And he says, the first thing you have to learn about affecting a British accent is that British people are satisfied. We've done everything. We've conquered the world. We've achieved these successes in art and in technology. So that's the first thing you need to bring towards your Mexican accent, towards your British accent.
That'd be funny if some Mexican fool was like, "Bitch, you have an island, dog."
But it's that really put it in my head of fuck white people, fuck British people.
The funny thing is, he's not wrong. We used to talk about how why Dominic doesn't like British comedy when it's in a game show setting or something, and it's because they just make jokes about the mundane. They're so sarcastic about everything in their passive comedy, and it's because it's very relaxed. They're very satisfied people that are just how quaint, how trivial.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, that's true. It's so when you realize that, you're fuck these people.
Yeah, I hate it. They're just so cheeky, so we're just having a good time. And the fact that I guess they have a law that they can't compete for money, which is a good law, but also that the prizes that they give for these fucking shows is a handshake and a clock. Fuck you, dude.
Oh yeah, their baking show. They're the prize is that you got to be British and bake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, who was it? Leon, our buddy Leon, asked us if Little Mystery from Food's Gone Wild is Armenian.
Oh yeah.
There's a conspiracy theory that Little Mystery is Armenian.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't either, but that's crazy if that's true. Anyways, the reason why I thought of that is because I wonder if Food's Gone Wild has ever been approached to do something in the... I doubt it, dude. A feature film. That'd be so fucking sick. Obviously, so many fucking people like it.
Well, it took them so long to even get verify it. There was a whole campaign about verify Food's Gone Wild because
we had a whole episode about it, and then that before the episode dropped, a day before they got verified. I'm oh fuck.
Yeah. But it's just it seemed to be just this thing that Latino. Oh, that's what I was gonna bring up too. The whole thing that happened at Bon Appetit about their editor in chief or whatever. That fool didn't want to include Puerto Rican recipes into the magazine because he was our reader base is not ready for that. It's very greasy food. It's very blah, blah, blah. He was talking shit about Puerto Rican food. And it's that's how we're a niche. And we've talked about this, the success of our podcast. Thank you for everybody for supporting us. But it's I'm really proud of how far we've come with this podcast. And it's we go out and interact with people, and I don't do this for recognition from my peers, but we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
You know, nobody gives a fuck about what we're doing.
Yeah.
And like they joke about it because we're the Mexican podcast.
Exactly.
You know?
Dude, I mean, somebody told me the other day, I won't say who, but I was like, oh, did you see my set? What did you think? And they were like, yeah, but it's just like Mexican jokes. And I was like, fuck you, dog. It was Dominic. I'm just kidding. No, somebody said that. I couldn't fucking believe it, dude. And I just tuned out the whole rest of the conversation. I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, yes, they're Mexican jokes. Do you not know I have a Mexican podcast and I wish to do like a live show for these people?
I am a Mexican.
Yeah.
I'm a Mexican.
It's wild. There was this thing, there was a documentary about Greg Giraldo. Is that his name?
Yeah.
About how that fool was half Mexican or half something.
Yeah.
He was Latino.
Yeah.
And there's a portion of it where they were like Jeff Frost and like 2 or 3 other comedians were talking about how he never had to play the race card. People didn't even know he was Latino. Like it would have been so easy for him to just talk about race. And it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And like that's the idea about like talking about being Mexican or like I was thinking about that on the way here. Like the greatest comedians, a lot of people consider to be goats, you know. Most of them are black comedians, but they all talk about race.
Yeah.
Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Richard Pryor, like they all talk about race.
You ever seen a white motherfucker doing their taxes, motherfucker? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's like there's a jealousy of like white people not being, but then it's a thing like Daniel Tosh has race jokes, and it's like a cheeky thing for them that they have that in their wheelhouse where they can talk about race or they can make jokes about, oh, I'm the diversity on the show. There was a show that I did where it was all Mexicans and then a white comedian went on and he's like, hi, I'm the diversity on tonight's show. Mm-hmm. And it's like, fuck you, dude. Like that this whole idea of like we're a niche group that we're one of the biggest like economic powers in the country. Yeah. Like in our ability to buy tickets or to buy anything, like we're a big part of it.
Yeah. So like if I don't wish to validate this thought of mine in my head, but hearing things like that, when this person, after I just killed at the Yard, you know what I mean? I did so well at the Yard. I did, right, guys?
It was at that show?
Yeah.
Dude, you fucking crushed. What are you talking?
No, I know, but this is what I'm trying to get at is that like, you know, if I tell you there's so many white cars in the world and you go out and you see a bunch of white cars, right? Yeah. Like, I feel as if like I do very well in comedy. I'll be the first to say it, maybe the only to say it, but I am very confident in my ability to make people laugh, right? I had a long conversation with Miguel last night that I don't want to make people laugh sometimes, and I do. It's just something that's in me. Like it's some things that are embarrassing become things people laugh at. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Which hurts, but still, it's like it is validating in a way where I know that I'm funny. Anyways, aside from the point, but I feel as if I'm not welcomed into the comedy scene whatsoever. No matter what my prestige is, no matter what level I can make people laugh at, or how long I can make people laugh for, it's something that I don't wish to add fuel to in my head, where it's just like it's never gonna happen for you, dude, because of these things. And then hearing somebody tell me like, yeah, but it's just Mexican jokes. It's like looking through the keyhole of the door and seeing how people really think.
Yeah. Sorry,
I'm like so mad.
I've definitely had moments where it's like you do so well and everyone's like pumping you up, and then like just a split moment makes you realize like, yeah, but then you realize they still see you as, you know, a Hispanic comic, a Mexican comic, a Latino comic, and then you realize like, fuck, because then it's like daunting on you that it's like you're still on the outside and you don't know if that'll ever change.
It's like that's not funny that you're Mexican. It's unfortunate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, but it's not though.
Like, dog, you're better than that. You can't punch down. You know, like it's such a weird philosophy to have.
Well, to that end, okay, I don't want to turn this into like a whole Dave Chappelle kind of thing where it's like Mexicans against queer people, because I understand there's queer Mexicans. But at that same show, Caleb Perrin, very funny comedian.
I was just thinking the same thing. I know
he crushed it. He fucking crushed it. His whole set was about being gay. Yeah. And and it was one of the funniest sets I've ever seen in my life. And I loved it. I liked it. Are you going to tell him, oh, but that was just gay stuff?
Yeah. You know? I mean, that's happened too, though. Like for Jonathan Serra-Durrell.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, which we will have him soon on the podcast.
But it's because I think I know who said that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, dude, it sucks. It is what it is. And you know, Mexican comedians around us, whether I love them or not, choose to adore the whiteness around them instead of bringing up the obvious struggle of trying to be a Mexican comedian. And I don't need them to bring me up. I'm gonna fucking work hard for what I get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't give a shit. But like seeing people that are struggling, and not really giving them some kind of pathway to success, you know? Like, hey, why don't you try doing this? Like, I had a conversation with you the other day. We're like talking to new comics. Like, that makes you better, you know?
Yeah.
But people don't wish to better themselves as Mexican comedians. They just want to be accepted by whites.
Yeah. It's especially in Los Angeles, which is so crazy. Like you say it all the time. We are the majority. We're a majority minority. That's the actual term. Like, we're a majority, our demographic in this city. And like, we feel like we have to play for white people, white audiences, and like be afraid to talk about being Mexican. Or if we're going to talk about it, it has to be derogatory.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just simply talk about it as like our experiences. It has to be in the sense of like that Mexicans is somehow dirty or inferior, and that we want to be able to play to as many people. How come white audiences, they're the ones that need to change?
Yeah.
They're the ones that need to be more open to listening to more experiences that are, why do I have to change and speak towards their experiences? I don't know their fucking experiences. I know my experience, and that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm Mexican. I've had to deal with my upbringing being Mexican, and that's the experience that I'm trying to share. So for somebody to tell you or to tell any of us that it's a cop out, that you doing well, because it was a great set. It was an amazing set, and I'm saying this because I need to like cement. It's like you crushed it, and for somebody to tell you that it's not as valuable because of what you were saying. What
really hurt about it was more so that I don't give a fuck if it was good or bad, the set. I did really well. I know that. I didn't record it though because I didn't want to think about it too much, right? And that kind of made me freer in what I was talking about on stage. But the hard work, the work that goes into making these jokes.
Yeah.
It's not something that I just fucking think of and I say.
Yeah.
That, I just have to tap into the lower end of me that is Mexican. You know, I'm going to put the whiteness away for 10 minutes and talk about what it's like to be Mexican. And I don't have to write any of these jokes. It's just who I am. And it's always going to be funny because being Mexican is hilarious because that's the worst thing to be. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's something that's not desired in life, like waiting at the DMV. So that's why people make jokes about waiting at the DMV, you know?
Right.
But there's so much hard work that goes into writing the jokes that I have and the order that they go in and the amount of times I try different ways to do it. And none of that, all of that is left to the side when you say that it's just Mexican stuff, you know?
Yeah. And also, it's a set.
Yeah.
You build a set. Like, just because that's not all your material.
Yeah.
All your material is not just talking about Mexican stuff. Even if it was, doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But it's like, that's a set. You worked hard to write the jokes in the first place, but two, to create a set and to perform it well. Like, this, you put the same effort into that Caleb put into his set, that all the comedians that night put into their sets and their jokes. You know, like, you still put in the same amount of effort. So why denigrate that? Yeah. Yeah. It's so frustrating. It's really frustrating because it's like I don't know. We can't do anything. Just the fact that we have, you know, green, white, and red on our logo, on our podcast is Mexican. People don't take us seriously. I'm not here to gripe and complain. I'm going to keep doing this podcast and we're going to like keep growing and keep succeeding. Yeah. You know, but it's just like the fact that it's frustrating. Yeah. It's annoying to have to deal with this stuff, to be seen as inferior by both non-Latinos and by Latinos alike.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to speak for you guys, but I'm not afraid to express myself. You know, people that do have these prejudices are afraid of expressing them. So they do it passive aggressively in the ways that we're talking about. Right. You know, which I don't have a problem with that. Be who you are. But I don't mind being upfront with how I feel about things. Because guess what? You're not going to find anything hidden underneath me. You know? Maybe a couple farts, but that's about it, you know?
Not hidden for long.
But anyways, it's something that it's my integrity. It's like I want my audience to know that I can tell you exactly how I'm feeling.
Right.
And then masking that with the jokes that I've been working on, like this is also how I'm feeling, in a weird way where it's like, you don't know that I've been working on this stuff, but you've always trusted me so far. Like, here's what it is. I don't believe in being nice. I don't be nice for nice sake. So when I am nice, it means something, If I do talk to an open micer, it's not because, oh, hey, dude, like, oh, look at you. You fucking need to work on your material.
Yeah.
It's like, why not make real connections with people? Why fucking put people in a box that they can't get out of in your mind,
Yeah.
Why tell people that learning Spanish is wrong or learning Spanish is right? Like, there is no right or wrong. Like, we are all... I didn't fucking ask to be this person, but I'm so happy that I am.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be Mexican. But there's things that I wish would change that I don't have any power over. I don't have any power over people choosing to fucking hate on other Mexicans for the stupidest reasons. Like not knowing a language that we were forced to learn to begin with,
Yeah.
And it may be something within our blood that makes us feel this way. This is how we were treated, so I'm going to treat other people that way. And we're mostly surrounded by other brown people in an online space because the algorithms force you to that. If you like one hashtag Mexican post,
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It kind of reminds me of that saying that blood is thicker than water? Mm-hmm. Well, that's a most quote. The full quote is the blood of the coven is thicker than the water of the womb. And what essentially that translates to, at least my interpretation of it, is, you can't help what you're born into, who you're born into, where you come from. So that doesn't define who you are. It's what you choose for yourself that defines who you are.
Yeah.
That's what that quote means.
Yeah.
And so it's like I am Mexican because I'm Mexican born. Because, I'm born in America, but I'm like, my parents are Mexican, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, going back like 100 generations. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm Mexican because I'm Mexican. That's it.
Yeah. There's
no questioning that because nothing you say changes that.
Yeah. And I mean, feel free to say whatever you want to say in the comments, I don't, not that I don't care, but I wish to expand my mind to knowing what other people feel about this, maybe the same thing or something completely different,
Yeah.
I don't know. Or other experiences that you probably have, yeah. It's just terrible, dude. It's terrible. Why,
it is.
Why treat people this way?
It's crazy.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Well, when I posted, so there's that clip where that was posted on that Instagram page, So Mexican, that they didn't even tag me in, which was super frustrating. But that comment got like 6 million views or something like that, and the comment section was filled. It was the quote where I said, "If you're brown, find other brown people that do that thing." And everybody in the comments was like tearing us down for saying that, like for saying like we're wrong for trying to show support to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that thing. It's like that's not going to appease the white man, in my opinion. I don't know, right?
No, but I totally agree. It's like it's annoying when it's like it's even in subtle ways where it's like you don't get a lot of shows because you don't really see a lot of Latinos in comedy or it's because we kept getting kicked out, so we do our own shows and then nobody goes to those because like, well, why does it have to be all Latinos? And it's like because it's like a revolving thing, like one feeds the other. Mm-hmm. And I'm in this gaming group on Discord that like sometimes I have to be like, I get annoyed when like something comes up that affects me personally as a part of who I am as like a Latino and as an autistic person and as like a person of the LGBTQ community that they don't relate to because they're not any of those things. And they're like, well, why would you have to talk about this? I'm like, because it's fucking important to me. And if I'm important to you, then it should be important to you as well. Just because it's worth talking about.
Yeah. And I think Dominic knows more than Ryan, but like, this is all new to me. Like, speaking about these things, I don't believe in talking about this. Mm-hmm. I'm a hard worker. I'll work hard before I fucking sit and have a conversation with people. But the conversations I do have, I choose to have on the podcast.
Yeah.
If it's not with just Dominic or you or Miguel off the podcast, were things that just happened in that day, like the Spic thing, however long ago that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's because listen, I don't sit around thinking about this all the time either. I take note of things, just like you would a person's character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I work all fucking day long. I'm not sitting here working thinking like, oh, fucking Mexicans representation is really fucking with me today, you know?
Yeah.
But it is an important thing to me.
Yeah.
And it's not for my personal gain. I could do open mics for the rest of my fucking life. I don't give a shit.
Right.
But I do wish to see some kind of change within, like, my family, dude. That's what matters to me. My family matters to me. And the way that I'm treated by other uncles and aunts of mine is fucking stupid. It's fucking dumb.
R.I.P. to headphone users.
Yeah, anyways.
Yeah, but I would want to speak on something you said just a second ago about how, like, there are people who will be like, well, why do we have to care about this? Why can't it just be about who does the best job, who's the hardest worker? And it's like, you're exactly right, but that's why we have to talk about it. You know, we didn't make this a racial thing. White people did. They literally invented race. The idea of race and separation of race was a thing that ancient white people, nobody alive today invented, but it's still a thing they invented. And it's like, it should be based on that, but it's not. And that's why it's important to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, we could see it because I could see why it's important. I could see the effects of it in my own life. It's annoying, man. Yeah. Like, there's people that get rewarded for very little work. And maybe work's not the answer. Maybe it's natural talent and whatnot. Yeah. But I mean, dude, it's ridiculous. And then to see them paraded around to different white shows. And then that's the machine, dude. Yeah. If you go on Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, I mean, that's huge, you know? And then whatever you're on already, whether you got there through blood or not, you know what I mean?
I just think, like, I don't know. If what we're saying bothers you, then think about why it bothers you. Like, who does it benefit? And I'm not saying to not work hard. That's the thing that's frustrating too, is that I have to defend people that hate me too. And I choose to do that because I want us to all succeed. You know what I mean? I choose to defend people that talk shit to me and to tell me that I'm weak or that I'm gay for speaking out about issues. But to those people, I'm just like, consider where you got this from and who it benefits for you to be like this. And I don't know, just try to show. That's the thing that's frustrating too, is that Latinos love to hate other Latinos while they're succeeding, and then once they succeed, then they claim them. Yeah, like
Cameron Diaz.
Well, the example I was going to give was Lupita Nyong'o, who's African and Mexican, and who says she considers herself Mexican. When it first came out that she was Mexican, people were like, she's not Mexican, she's black. They were hating on her. There was a lot of anti-blackness shit getting thrown around. And then she won an Oscar. And then all of a sudden, it was like, Mexicans do it, like, we're hell yeah. Like, all those same people, I saw it within the span of 2 months, this conversation where people that I worked with that were talking shit about her, saw the same discourse online, they're talking shit, and then she gets an Oscar, and then they try to claim that and then they were like, well, she claims to be Mexican, that's how she identifies, and so that's Mexican success. And it's like, you can't have it both ways.
And you know how your mind gets fucked by this too, is because, like, they'll say like, why the fuck you care about the Oscars, stupid? It's like it's just the Oscars, dog. Yeah, it's like, well, this is I've seen this. This is what I see. And there's other like analogies you can make to everyday life. You know,
why do we care about white awards?
Yeah,
and then we win one.
Yeah. Like, oh. But all right, that's it for today. We've gone on for a long time here. Yeah. But yeah, we'll be back next week with another episode. How'd you guys feel today?
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
Crazy. Get ready for the hate, dude.
Yeah.
It's like the Game of Thrones meme. Brace yourself. The hate's coming, Doug.
Sure. I mean, I'm open to discourse. I'm open to anybody's thoughts and opinions on this. So let us know how you feel about these things. Share your experiences. Also, a lot of people that are from Mexico or that are Spanish speaking, they've shared their experience, and I found that to be very helpful, like their perspective of like when they disagree with us. So if that's you, like, let us know what's up.
Just don't be a dick about it.
All right, y'all. Thank you very much. And from us at the Isimo Studios,
don't fly.
Isimo Podcast.
Oh.
That's why you make the noise. You have to pee. Ah.
Alrighty. Tight.
Oh, my ears. They hurt so much.
Oh, I gotta pee.